ahead and open the floor for any questions, comments regarding any community matters. Now, if you have a squirrel in your attic, please just see Sai or myself after me or send us an email. But
hopefully not.
Yeah, if there's a squirrel in every one of your neighbor's attics and it's a community issue, then say so. We'll start here.
You talked about the loss being a big part of insurance claims.
Yes.
With the insurance claims being a big part of why our premium is higher, or do we have, like, is that a group knowledge, or is it only the people who file the claims know? Because I'm just curious, I don't know the age of the claims.
So I don't.
Y'all probably have more info than I
So
do.
how it's supposed to happen is as a home. Okay, this is my homeowner hat. As a homeowner, I've unfortunately had 3 claims since I've lived here. All 3 are water. And so I make those claims with my insurance. So besides the wind and storm and natural disaster things, those are claims that are made by and can only, or should only be made by board and now David. What had happened was we had 3 additional claims that were made with the HOA insurance. I want to say, keep me honest guys, year 23?
Yeah.
2023. It was, we had 3 claims that those 3 homeowners.
One was ours. The one was the roofs.
No. This was a side.
Three
There were
more.
3
Okay.
claims. Yeah, give me one second. So three claims were made by a homeowner to their own homeowner's insurance. It was denied, and they called and put in a claim with the HOA insurance. So even though it was still denied and their insurance ended up having to cover it, it's still like a dot on us. It's a point still on us, even though the payout shows 0. So how they were allowed to do that, why they were allowed to do that, blows my mind, and this board still to this day. But we have, say if we had 5 claims, only 2 were made by the board and the managing company, and they were because of the roof damages that were sustained. And so in 2023, those 3 had, and they all 3 had the same agent. 3 claims were made against the HOA, all 3 were denied, all 3 had $0 payouts. And their individual insurance agent, literally they had the same agent and the same company, had to end up restoring and covering everything. So that took a hit. No one knew that they put them in, and I mean, we can't gauge anything like that either. I know, fortunately, this past Christmas I didn't have anything, but for the past 2 Christmases, 22 and 23, I've been to several homes that unfortunately their pipes have bursted and stuff like that, and some have even called the fire department out or whatnot. But yeah, sorry.
It's kind of complicated.
We have put 2 claims in though, I believe, and I don't know, Libby's still here. I believe we put a roof claim in 2016, and then we did put another roof claim in on 2023. So we did have. But besides those,
but the roof, the 16 one washed out, I think.
Yeah, at this point in time, that's washed out. But the cumulativeness of those.
2008. It was 2018.
Yeah. Okay.
And
But it still would washed out from 18, right?
yeah, again, 5 years is what they're looking at. But the also, so I think also kind of to your point and Robert's point, just because even water damage inside of condos, a lot of times will qualify for claims on the master policy. Now, it's detrimental to do it, but that's why we're having a high deductible is super helpful. So I'm not going to say who, but one section of River Plantation, they had a $20,000 water damage claim last year. And had that at $25,000 deductible, it never would have been an HOA issue, but it was because their deductible was only $10,000. So that HOA, depending on the language in your governing documents, you consult with legal counsel and say, do we have an obligation to file a claim? And sometimes the answer is yes, you do, unless you want to pay out cash over the deductible and start paying for owners, hot water heater damage, condensation lines backing up. It's extremely complicated, and owners are supposed to go through the association, and ultimately the board makes the decision, the management company implements that decision. But there are times in which the the board and the management company get bypassed for insurance claims. And mainly it's just because insurance is a game of pointing fingers. It's your insurance carrier versus the HOAs. Whoever wins is whoever pays the less money. So that's kind of how it works. Raymond?
But isn't that something where we can help mitigate it somewhat if we like on the website, we post procedures for filing insurance claims and provide that information? It seems like some of the topics that we cover, like this, is because people don't know.
Well, frankly, we actually had several meetings at that point in time, and we asked the homeowners, we told the homeowners, you really can't file a claim, and they did it
I
anyway.
appreciate that, but I'm saying
Yeah.
there should be a document that can be referenced.
So
Well, the master.
Because I'm new, I've never been a part of those conversations.
what typically happens,
Master deed.
and I deal with this almost every day.
It's in your master.
And the governing docs do have language, but sometimes it's not clear. The protocol is if you have a water leak in your home or a small fire, anything to that effect, you notify your insurance carrier. At that point, your insurance carrier deals with the HOA. So we don't deal with individual homeowners when a claim occurs. Let's say your home floods due to a burst pipe, you're going to contact your insurance carrier. The first person they're contacting is me. And they're going to say, we want to see the master deed, we want to see the bylaws, we want a certificate of insurance for the HOA, and potentially a copy of the policy. And we provide that. And then they review it, and their team says, is the HOA responsible in our opinion, yes or no? If no, then your insurance carrier covers it, you deal with your insurance carrier, case closed. If they say, we believe the HOA is responsible based on that review of the governing documents, then they make a demand that the HOA files the claim. That demand goes from me to the board, and the board then will say yes or no, or probably in a lot of cases, legal opinion, go to legal. Legal says yes or no, back to the board, then that decision's made. But it all goes through owner's insurance carriers. Very, very, very rarely will it ever be me communicating directly with an owner and trying to make that determination. Yes, sir.
My neighbor is the 985, the one that caught fire.
Yes, sir.
Tell us about any progress on that.
Have very little information. I did speak to a representative of that resident. They are working on restoration, and that was just last week. We were having some difficulty getting in touch with them, but finally we did. We also, I was thinking of this. My mindset is to try to prevent losses, right? There's nothing that is going more likely to flood than a condo with no electricity where the water is still turned on, and especially when it's not dripping. So we sent someone out here at that owner's expense and got them inside, turned on their water so it's dripping because they don't have power. So if, that's a major deal. So, and they don't have an external shutoff valve visible either. So we are very concerned about that. I believe it's the resident's sister who's communicating and essentially assisting him with that. They are making arrangements for that restoration. Yes, ma'am.
When that fire happened, they put up just some real clear plastic stuff, and then we had those torrential rains, and they blew that out. And then they finally put some other tarps. My concern for that whole building would be mold. Would be the water damage causing mold inside that to go.
And that's something we can take a look at and potentially intervene to try to make sure that gets avoided. But yeah, if windows are left open like that, it's just, all it takes is one good storm.
They're blown out. I mean, and there's just some kind of little blue tarp right across from it.
And assuming water has gotten in there, and we can test it with a moisture meter, they'll probably have to rip out the drywall in that area and do a restoration solely from that issue alone. Now, they are working on getting new windows to the Home Depot. Apparently, they've already ordered them per the individual I spoke with last week. So, and I also have her direct contact info now. So we want to see that resolved very quickly as well. And that is not a claim on the HOA's policy. They have not requested to file a claim on the HOA's policy, even though it was a fire. So that's beneficial for the HOA overall.
Can I piggyback off of her question and say, hypothetically, if the damaged unit, due to mold, I'll take your example, what if it does impact the neighbor? So you're the neighbor, sir.
Yeah.
So
He is and I'm the other one.
Okay, so for example, if I'm in this situation, or I wanna know, my damage is because that unit's negligence, that homeowner's negligence. When does it come a point in time where you intervene? And what, am I gonna be responsible to then rehab my unit because they took so long, and I'm not pointing at anyone, sorry, that unit took so long to fix theirs properly?
I'm not entirely qualified to answer that question.
Okay.
That's really a legal question.
Okay.
However, negligence oftentimes can be placed on the individual homeowner. I've seen situations similar to that where the HOA did intervene and billed it to their account and filed a lien on the property until that got resolved. So negligence is a factor. It's not something where we ever want to just say, oh, you know, it's what it is, we're going to deal with it.
I'm
We
going
want
to
to
ask
avoid
about
it,
my
and then
drain
if it happens,
pipe.
involve the appropriate actions, and that often involves legal to deal with it.
In my experience, it's like with a car accident, you get into different insurance companies, it becomes a subrogation. So your insurance company may go ahead and say, we're gonna go ahead and fix it for you, and then they turn around and they, in essence, sue the other insurance
They'll
company.
deal with
But
that.
the origination is where the responsibility lies. So your insurance company may pay for it, right? But then they're gonna go after the original.
And you won't
insurance.
get, like, they wouldn't get dinged on their own personal.
No, because it subrogates back over.
Yeah.
I mean, they'll be subject to the limitations of their policy. So for example, if, let's say you have a 5,000 and it costs you 7,500, right? They'll only pay the 5,000, but they're still gonna, the 2,500, then it's twofold, right? The 5,000, the insurance company will go after the other insurance company, and if the other 2,500, you'll work with that other insurance company to collect your 2,500.
That is
So you
correct.
should always stay whole on your side.
Always go to your insurance company and let them figure it out.
Yeah, let them subrogate out to the others.
Yes, and that's very accurate. Yes, ma'am.
I'm changing gears here, but David, this is directed about the process. You have the forms on the website, and my neighbor here has had a problem with her gutter.
Drainage pipe, no, it's a drainage pipe.
It's
Since September,
It's the downspout.
it's a downspout, and I mean, when it rains, it runs on my patio. And it's not that I can put a rubber hose on it, because at the end, there's my shed. And for it to go out in the road, I would have to make a hole in my shed and a hole in my, and the door on my patio to get it out there. And I mean, everybody has looked at it. Marty from your company has looked at it, said, okay, I'll report it. Then Weaver, his helper, has looked at it. He said, okay, I will say, I don't have my truck with me, I can't do anything about it. Then I called Doug Weaver, and the answer I got was, no problem, I'll look at it. And that's the end of the story.
Well, you-
And
But
it's
my
still,
question-
nothing's been done on it.
But my question is this, David, is I went down and helped her put all of her dates in, and we sent the form in. She's never heard anything back from the
Because I
association.
wrote everything down.
And I didn't know, when you send the form, what should we expect in a return answer to something that's sent in by the form?
Yeah, so the form is just like an email, very, very similar concept. And what, can I get your unit number, please?
990.
990.
So when something like that happens, the first thing we do is have it checked out. And now I don't have this information in front of me exactly what is there. I do know we have some situations where when we took the 4-inch gutters that were there and replaced them with new 6-inch gutters, that there had to be modifications that resulted in some unfortunate.
It's not the gutters. They just put the drainage pipe
On the wrong side.
on the wrong, in a different, but I've been there over 40 years and I've had the drainage pipe at one side and no problem. After they switched the gutters, they put the drainage pipe
Other side.
Yeah.
at the other side, and there it goes.
And it may be something that's already in progress, but that's something where we can absolutely follow up on that and try to get an update, because I just don't know off the top of my head, is this something that, is already scheduled to be resolved? Is it something where, we're waiting on Weaver? Is it something where our maintenance people are going to take care of it? I just don't have that answer for you right now, but we can absolutely follow up on it.
Yeah, because her carport neighbor has 2 downspouts, which took one off of mine. I don't have one. And so they put 2 on hers. My concern, even for her, is the water getting out and freezing. And these are elderly, well, I shouldn't say that.
We are.
Sorry.
Excuse us.
Anyone.
Yes.
We all people can fall.
But I mean, they just didn't look where, but there was a 3-week period when they took the old drainage pipes out and then replaced the gutters, and then they just didn't look where the old drainage pipes was and put those down. No, they just put them at the other side.
Well, they took them down too far in advance. They
Yes.
didn't know where they were.
You could, but you
When they
could still
came back
see
in to
mine
put
where
them
mine
I had
was.
the same, they put my gutter also in a completely different place. But they didn't, what they didn't do is they didn't take out the little bracket of the old one. So
You would think they would be able to see
you
where
know,
they put it, right?
so you'd think that they would put the bracket down in the same place, but they didn't. So we've got to just keep on asking.
And it might be something, obviously, sometimes it's like, hey, this is a simple repair. Sometimes,
It's not that simple.
well, when you have, sometimes you have a simple repair, right? We send someone out, it's fixed, it's resolved. Sometimes it's something where, hey, this is an issue from a project, you want to deal with the appropriate contractor that you kind of created this problem, deal with it. So again, it's probably something that's already in progress, and we can definitely get you an update.
Since October.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention, David, I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but I have heard from multiple homeowners that the responses on the contact us have been pretty slim. So I think that's something we need to talk about in our next meeting with you, is how we improve that process. And make sure that we get,
And he's sitting in the back of the room. Cy Taylor is our newest hire. Cy Taylor started with our company January 1st, and he's going to be extremely familiar with River Plantation. Cy was with HCA's Corporate Property Management Division, has his undergraduate from Lipscomb University, has his MBA from Lipscomb University, and is going to be a vital help to River Plantation and help us to continue and improve our level.
When we talked about having an Excel spreadsheet with that, with the information that comes in, so when someone logs a request, it would go on a worksheet, and you would put on there when a response was and what the resolution was. So we need to talk about putting that in place and making sure that that is transparent to all the homeowners, I believe, so that everybody can see that communication.
I've got a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Is David or Doug Beaver paying for all these gutter repairs, things that were not done correct? Marty, I think that's his name, told me that there were some gutters that had fallen off of the buildings.
We had some downspout, 2 or 3 downspouts that, and when these downspouts are connected, they only have these little brackets that have like 1 screw in them, and some of the screws used were a little bit too small. If it's something that, is almost more hassle than it'd take for Marty to send an email to me of the issue than it is to fix it, which like putting 1 screw to downspout's not a huge deal, they're gonna take care of it. However, on something like 990, on any issue that, it is indeed something up that's not like, hey, we can address this in 2 minutes, we're absolutely going to hold that vendor accountable to the best of our ability.